Now our B moves, but he picks the same destinations every single time, and I'd like him to randomize or choose a different set or a different order so that our player doesn't know exactly where the B is going to go. It could go to one of the spots, but not necessarily always in the same order. Got to add a little bit of variation here. And there are a lot of ways that we could go about this, just like anything with coding. And what I wanted to do for this section is actually dive back into AI and asking AI a couple questions for ideas, because I think that it's important that you remember that when you're building out code systems, there are multiple different ways to go about doing things, and there are different algorithms and solutions available. So let's go into ChatGPT, and I'm just going to tell it that I have a character in a Unity game that needs to choose random destinations from a list of transforms, and just asking it, what options do I have for randomly picking the points? And I assume we're going to get back probably a very basic answer at first. So it says that we could use system.random or Unity engine.random and then pick one at random with a range. So here we get the code. We can see it's giving us a choose random destination method, which just uses random.range from 0 to the number of destinations and then picks one and gives it back to us. That'll work. That right there will give us a random position and move our B towards it. We may end up with situations where we choose the same destination twice, but in that case, we would still probably we would continue moving on because our B would be at that point. We'd pick another destination. Although that might be kind of problematic if we wanted to do that and we wanted to do it with a stop and a pause. So if we move to a destination, stop, pause, shoot, and then pick another destination, if that same destination is picked, then that could be an issue. So let's ask it if there's a way to do it without choosing the same destination twice. Is there a way we cannot choose the same destination twice in a row? I didn't even put a question mark, but it knows that I want an answer. It says, yes, you can check to ensure the same destination isn't picked. And now it's going to give us another method for doing it. So here it's got a do loop. Not a fan of do while loops. So I'm sure we'll ask it to refactor this again. So it says in this code, we have a last index that stores the last index of the chosen thing. And then, and then checks to see if it was the invalid one. So actually, let's just use this code. I was thinking, let's just change it and pick something else, but it's important to be able to understand and read what this does, even if I don't necessarily like it. Actually, I'm going to tell it to refactor it. But let's take a look at the do code right here. So a do while loop actually runs kind of a lot like a for loop, except it always runs the code in this do part first. So it's going to run that, and then it's going to continue looping it while this statement is true. So it's kind of like a while loop, but it always does it the first time. So let's copy this code and see if we can get it to work. I'll hit copy code. We'll jump back into Visual Studio, and right below my start movement method, I'm just going to paste in this choose random destination, and I'm going to make it do a couple things. First, I don't want it to return void. I want it to return back the actual destination. So right now I get back a destination that's a transform. Let's just return back that same type. So we'll get a transform from our choose random destination. And we remember have this list of B destination or this array of B destinations. So instead of using or just destinations, we use B destination. So I'm going to copy that and paste and paste and paste. But now we've got a couple errors on count. And that's because B destinations is not a list like destinations was. It's an array. And arrays have the length property, not the count. So we'll just copy length over the counts. For this random message, it's thinking that we want to use system.random because we have a using system statement up at the top. And we can't remove that, so we'll just go back down to the error and put that it's a Unity engine.random. There it is. So go find it right here and say Unity engine.random.range. And then finally, we've got one more instance of B destinations. The last thing we want to do, though, is remove these kind of last two lines of code. We don't need to cache the destination, and we don't want to move our character to it. So let's delete. Let's see, what do we got here? Line 73, 74, 73, just keep deleting. And then we're going to return back out that B destination at the index. So just do a return. And I think, at the bottom, we'll need to return null. If we have no destinations, we're going to get back null. So we should probably just be ready to deal with that. Although, realistically, our code doesn't deal with that anywhere else. So we could probably, we should probably just leave it there. Let's leave it. We'll do a build. We should probably deal with it in the part where we choose a random destination. So let's put in choosing a random destination. We'll copy choose random destination and paste it over line 41 here where we're setting it to the destination index. And then we'll just say, hey, if destination is equal to null, let's do an error. Unable to choose a random destination for the B, stopping movement. And then we'll just return. So we're going to exit out if we somehow can't get a point. And we can't actually do a return. What we have to do instead is a yield break. I always almost put yield return break, but it's a yield break, which is going to just exit out and return and stop our coroutine. So if we get to the point where somehow we can't pick a random destination, it means that our data is wrong, something's bad. We should stop, log out an error, and be ready to fix it. The next thing we need to do is just delete out lines 53 through 55 because we don't need this destination index anymore. So just hit delete. Delete, and then let's go find that variable and make sure that we delete it as well. We have that destination index right here. This is line 23. Shift delete, we'll get rid of it. We'll do a build. And now we should expect to see that our B can move around randomly between positions and doesn't choose the same position twice. Let's see if that's the case. So we'll run over here. We'll watch our B. We've kind of lost that destination index, so we're just going to have to watch him move around. There we go. He gets spot 1, spot 2, the next spot. And where is he going next? Down, back. Oh, back down to that bottom one. Then back up. And then back down. I'm not liking the movement pattern that I'm seeing at all. He's just going back and forth. And now he went to a different one. So I don't particularly like this. I think that perhaps he should randomly choose all of the positions or from all of the positions at the beginning and then loop through them once and then reset. So let's ask ChatGPT if it can give us a version that does that instead. I'm going to start by copying my code. So I've got my choose random destination method. I don't want to continue the previous conversation because I've already modified this code and I want to be able to keep that code that I've modified. So I'll take that. I'll go into ChatGPT. And then before I paste in my code, I'll just ask it, can you rewrite this method so it chooses all the available positions before resetting or returning to a position it's already been at. Make this reset once it's past all of the positions. And then I'll paste in my modified code and let's see what we get back. So it says the current method is choosing a random index from an array and making sure the chosen one isn't the same. But my requirement is now changed and I want to make sure that they've all been visited. So it says that we can do this by creating a list of indices from 0 to length, and every time we just pick a random destination, we'll move the index on that list. So here we can see, what is it writing here? If B destination's length is greater than 0, if indices is null and indices count is equal to 0, then indices is equal to the range. Oh, okay, so the number of integers between the point, or between the 0 and the length. And then it randomizes them. Oh, no, it picks a random one from the indices and then, gets it and then removes it from the list. This is a little bit confusing. I'm going to ask it if it can write a less confusing one. So it's less confusing. I mean, I can follow what it's doing, but describing the steps is, I think, a little bit confusing. I think that having the extra indices is extra and probably not necessary. So let's see what happens here. It's going to choose a random destination. If we have no destinations, we return. If they've all been visited, then we reset the indices, okay? It's going to select a random one. And then it's going to set the destination index to that random one. Okay, so is this making them go in, yes it is, into a random position of them. So this does kind of work and it's describing it a little bit more. Let's ask if it can do it without the indices. because I feel like that's the extra confusing part. It doesn't need to be there and could probably be refactored out. There we go. So now it's going to create a copy of bDestinations array and shuffle it, and then iterate through that shuffled array. And I think that this is probably the solution that I would end up on, unless we end up creating a separate class that does the randomization too, which is another option. So maybe let's see what this does, and then we'll ask it if it can turn this into a class that can transform or shuffle transforms. So here's a method that shuffles the transforms. I don't think that we need something that necessarily written out. We can probably use a link statement. And then it's got a choose random destination method that's using that array. So this part I like. The part I don't like still is that the shuffle is not using it's a little bit more complicated than I think it needs to be. So say, can you convert this to a class that randomizes transforms like a grab bag or something? Sure, I can convert it. It's going to be named transform grab bag. And a grab bag is just a thing where you throw a bunch of stuff in and randomly pick out items until it's empty. So that's just one of the many types of or terms for randomization systems. So here we go. We've got a transform grab bag that takes a array of transforms, it shuffles them, and then allows us to grab one item. And let's ask it real quick. Can you write the shuffle, or can you replace the shuffle method with a simple link statement? So here you'll see that it's going to rewrite it again. But I also wanted to, while it's doing that, look at this code. So here you create a grab bag and then just get a destination out of it. I like this a lot more than I like having all of that extra code inside of our B encounter. Since this code is going to be responsible just for randomly picking transforms, we can now use this anywhere. We could use it for anything that needs to pick a random transform or a shuffled transform that needs to follow the same rule. And we don't have to clutter up our B encounter code again. So let's copy this code, the transform grab bag, and we're going to jump over to Unity. We'll just paste it down here at the bottom, and then I'll move it to its own class. So select the class name right here, Alt-Enter, and move to transform GrabBag.cs. We'll go back, and we're going to delete out the using statements here, those extra ones that got pasted over, and then we'll go to our transform GrabBag, make sure that this looks good and builds, and check the code. I don't see any errors here. Sometimes the copy-paste stuff from ChatGPT could have a code error, typo, or some weird formatting. So I just got to double check it. And now we'll go back into our B encounter and actually use this. So if we look at the example from ChatGPT, let's see if we can pull that one up. It was recommending that we call the method like this. We create a grab bag and then we get a destination from it. So I'll copy that. We'll jump over to our code, and inside of our choose destination or choose random destination, we'll delete that, or where we call it right up here, we'll paste our new code. So we got transform grab bag that takes to the destinations, and then we'll take a destination from the bag. So here I'm going to cut line 39 and paste it over 43. Let's get rid of all this duplicate stuff. We've got destination equals grabbag.grab, and here we've got that grab bag being initialized. Now, the one thing we want to do is reinitialize this grab bag if it gets empty, right? Does it do that automatically? Grab, if it's greater than the length, then it shuffles. Yep, so it does. It'll automatically reset it. We don't have to do anything else. It's looking good. Let's do a build now and see if it works. And if you're thinking, hey, couldn't we make that more generic? The answer is yes. We'll do that next. So let's hit play, though, and watch our bee move around. We should see him come in and then choose some random positions, but never going back to the same. He shouldn't do that back and forth. So go up. Okay, going to that position, that one. Then he's going to go down. Okay. We should just never see him kind of going back and forth to those same points. We should see he'll go through all of the points and then reset and pick a new set of points. So he's going all the way up to that top one and then back down. I think things are looking pretty good. The last thing that I want to make sure of, though, is that if he does a reset in that loop, so with the grab bag, I want to make sure that it also checks to see that we haven't, we don't go back to the last destination when we reset the grab bag. So when we shuffle our transforms, I want to make sure that we never pick the one that we ended on at the beginning of the last one. So let's copy this transform grab bag code one more time. And I'm just going to, again, I could write the code for it, but I'm going to tell ChatGPT to do it because I want to see if it can. And we'll just go down here and say, can you change the method below so that when shuffle transforms is called because it ran out of options, it doesn't choose the last position as the first new position for shuffle. Oh, and then I need to actually paste the code in. All right, so we can modify shuffle transforms to ensure the next position is not chosen. So here we go. We should get the last one, and it's just going to memorize or remember either the index or the transform of the last one, and then make sure that that's not the first one. That's all it really needs to do. Let's see. We should see the change inside of the shuffle. So shuffle is looking at, okay, it knows what the last transform is, and is it rewriting the link statement? Ah, yep. So it rewrites the link statement. Oh, and then it adds the last one. Huh. So this is going to work, but it won't work properly because it's going to take the last transform and shove that in as the last one. I just want it to not be the first. I just want the last transform to be first, not always last every time. Can you fix that? Again, sometimes it gets a little bit slower writing code with ChatGPT, but I think that if you're not sure how to write these things, you're not sure how to solve the problem, having these conversations with it and writing the code back and forth is going to make a huge difference and make so that you can actually get things done that you weren't able to do or kind of got stuck on before. So here's our shuffle transforms that's now caching the last transform. And here it's saying, hey, if it got shoved into number one, move it into or if it got shoved in index 0, the first spot, then move it up one. So this should do it. We'll copy that code. Go back into here and take our shuffle transforms, and we're going to paste in that new shuffle transforms method. Let's zoom it in just a little bit. You can see the entire thing. Add in a space here, and we'll just reevaluate it one more time. So it's going to order all of the transforms randomly using a link statement. It's not the best for allocations, but it doesn't matter because it's once per loop on our encounter. It's not something we're going to need to worry about performance-wise. We could always optimize it if it becomes an issue. And then we're going to look to see if the last transform was put at the beginning. If so, then we just move it down to the next spot so that it doesn't become the same spot. We're going to go back to the same spot. Let's save. We'll go back into Unity one last time, test it out, and then, assuming I'm not crazy, we'll make our commit. Assuming ChatGPT didn't break my code too. Let's see. So we press play. We'll run over here, jump. Woo, try to dodge that lightning. There we go. And let's watch the bee. It's going to one position and another position. And another one. And another one. I just want to make sure that it's working as expected. I think it's looking good. He's looping through. And I'm not seeing any issues. So we'll go into plastic and commit our changes. First, I'm going to stop playing. Make sure that I've saved my scene. And so that we added the transform grab bag and randomized bee movement. And we'll check that in.